bill anyway. Typically, generally, most certainly, I can't guarantee that because everyone uses energy differently. But it's very, very likely that yeah, you'll be meeting the needs more than that loan repayment. There's also solar hot water systems with $1,000 rebate, but I would probably lean more towards getting solar PV than solar hot water. And I can explain that another time. So what happens with these types of programs? If you were interested in getting a free tailored, no obligation quote through Rockies, just head to the website there, energizegippslandsolarprogram.com.au. Now, we've been backed by, and we actually do partner quite strongly with Wellington Shire and Latrobe. We did a program last year with Bor as well, which is kind of neighbouring with Bunyip is. They're probably going to join us later down the line, as well as a few other shires. So we're really wrapping in the whole Gippsland community within this program, which is really exciting. I'm actually managing in this program. One, obviously, we're running in the city of Yarra and the city of Hume and the city of Port Phillip. But I'm really excited about this one particularly. I think it's mainly because I really enjoy working with the councils there, and Darren's just a pleasure. So, and Brett, you're all right. Brett's okay. No, Brett's been lovely. And it's actually quite thrilling for me because my dad owned a cafe and I never went into that business. And I really wish I had, because cafes have blown up since he had a cafe. But Brett's actually taken over his dad's business, and that kind of family owned business is a really big tick for me when I was evaluating these applications. So, yep, that's my personal email. Well, it's not my personal email, it's my work email, but I treat it personally. So please email me if you have any questions at all. I'm more than happy to and I'll respond as quickly as I possibly can. That phone number there, 1300, comes directly through to me. Please do ask me any questions you have. Specifically about now, I'm going to move into electric bills. They're pretty annoying bills. I mean, they're always annoying, but I think electric bills have become more annoying because everyone's getting charged a whole different sway of prices for electricity, which doesn't make any sense to me. So the main things we want to look at here is they call that different things these days. That used to just be called usage. Now it's total anytime. I'll save you with total anytime. That's just marketing. That's usage is about 256 kilowatt hours there. And the rate that they're actually paying is really high. It's 34 cents per kilowatt hour. I believe the standard rate now is about 22 to 24 cents. Depending on the retailer though, you can get much lower I'm paying 18 cents at the moment for off-peak. That's generally pretty much all week, except for the hours of like 3 to 9 in the weekdays. And then it's about 23 cents. So yeah, just take note. And this supply charge or service to property charge, that at $1.41 is just criminal. And this isn't that old. This is only a few months. I might have to update it, but that's not that old, as you can see from the dates here. But $1.41 is criminal. Usually you'll find them to be about $1 to $1.10, roughly around there. So I would also direct you to that website down the bottom, compare.energy.vic.gov.au. I'm just going to leave the slideshow for a second and bounce to their website. Can everyone see that clearly enough? I'm pretty sure you can. $250 power saving bonus just for using this website. So you do have to be either a Centrelink pensioner concession card holder, job seeker, youth allowance on study, or a vet. If you are one of those things, I strongly advise you to use the website. All this does is compares it takes in your energy usage information, and then it provides you with a host of options with the retailers on the market. There's over 30 now. It's a heck of a lot of retailers on the market, all vying for your money. So look, I wouldn't trust any other kind of compared website, as they are paid to show whomever pays highest up the top. This government website doesn't obviously do that. So yeah, strongly advise everyone to check that out. And if you have any questions at all about it, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Go back over here. So another great thing about partnering with us in these programs, going through these programs, we also have a locally made hot water system through a collective called Earthworker. If you're looking at heat pump hot water systems, strongly suggest checking those guys out. 40% of your operational costs in your home is water, and 40% is heating. So if we can reduce those two big things, you're looking at a heavy reduction in your bills. And if you wanted to learn more about what you can do around the home, Gippsland Climate Change Network, where Darren's the chair, he conducts energy assessments with the team there. I would advise, again, if that's of interest, definitely check them out. Very simple. So look, we try and provide, it's not just a solar program. There's other things involved in here as well. If there's anything that I, at Yes, hear about that's coming down the pipeline from state government or really cool tech, that's something that we would share with people who participate. If there's a battery rebate or well, there is a battery rebate. It's about $4,000 off, but you'd already have to have a system. But if there's something that we would then be doing a similar thing for batteries, a similar program with a reduction in the cost of those, we would be adding that into this too. So there's a lot of benefits in dealing with a program like the Energize Gippsland Solar Program.com.au. That's where to go. And at the end of the day, you know, we're here as your personal energy service, energy assistance. That's how I kind of wrap it up in one. So that's enough for me. I'm going to jump across to Brett now. Brett, I'm going to drive this. So just tell me when you want me to switch to the next slide. Brett's going to talk to us just a little bit about solar. We won't go into too much detail. There's a lot of slides here, and typically this is for a formal information session that we host with Wellington Shire Council and Latrobe. But I couldn't say no to Helen and doing one, especially for the B.R.A.G community, because Brett's been kind enough, depending on how many people come through Bunyip Renewable Action Group, there might be a further discount. I won't share more than that. That's all I know. But it just depends how many people from the group comes through. So, Brett, I'll chuck it through to you, mate, if you want to jump on.
No worries. Thanks a lot. Yeah, so I won't go on too much about it. But this page here is just a little bit about us, about Rockies, some of the reasons why we were chosen, and the fact that we're local. We're here to stay. It was my dad before me, as Peter mentioned. So he's been working locally in Gippsland for a long time. I've taken over about 4 to 5 years ago, and we've grown up to include 20 local staff now. So 2 new apprentices every year. We specialise in the solar industry, so we can make sure that we're getting you the best products and the best value for money while supporting local. So, yeah, next slide. Thanks, Pete.
Yep.
This is just a little bit of a GIF here on how solar actually works. It's one of the main questions we get is people are interested in putting panels on, but they're not entirely sure on what's happening. So the main thing is your solar panels are producing power while the sun's shining. That power runs through an inverter and is converted into the power that you use in your home. Any power that you're using while you're producing power comes from the panels, unless you're using more than you're producing. And the leftover goes out into the grid. And that's what you sell for the feed-in tariff, which at the moment is about 10 cents in here in Victoria.
Yeah. But that's just a little cherry on the top. It's not a huge factor in buying solar anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, solar should be designed to cover loads, not necessarily to sell power. So,
yeah.
Which is actually a great slide to go to, because this sort of shows that here. This sort of shows you normally what happens in the average home. So the green there is displaying power usage. So people get up in the morning, there's a peak there before everyone goes to work or kids go to school or whatever that is that they're doing for the day. And then there's not a lot of power usage. So through the middle of the day, the usage is quite low. And that's when most of your solar is. So your solar actually peaks in the middle of the day, when most of the time there's not a lot happening at home. Then people get home from work or school and again cook dinner, watch TV, power peaks again. So this exported power or leftover power in the middle of the day is what you're exporting or selling on a standard system. There is many ways that we can make that power more useful, and that comes down to the design. So yeah. Next one, thanks, Pete. Alrighty, so this one here is just showing this is a system that we've put together locally. So this is just a 5 kilowatt solar system. The customer is using an average of 20 kilowatt hours a day. And this shows a payback period here of about 3.8 years. So yeah, it was a 46% reduction in their bill. This is, again, on an average user. So like that last picture we've seen, there are ways, again, to make this return even better. with batteries or load shifting or things like that. So these are the things that we take into consideration when it comes down to solar. So there's quite a few things that you have to think about, not just the panels. One of the biggest things is roof space and shading. So quite often, you know, houses with trees or quite a lot of different faces or other obstacles on the roof can restrict the amount of panels you can install efficiently. Getting the panels in the sunlight for the majority of the day on the correct orientation and tilt is very important when it comes to installing solar. Tin or tile, that's just something we look at for the roof structure, depends on the brackets that we can use. Roof pitch, obviously angles can affect your winter and summer production. Meters and switchboards, these can bear additional costs. So old fuse boards can quite often need to be upgraded. Meters, if you've got 2 meters, quite a lot of people nowadays, if you open your switchboard, have 2 meters, especially rural. One was for the hot water. There's additional costs from the retailer if you go solar for that. Yep, next page, thanks Pete. These are just some examples of switchboards so you can get an idea. You can look at your one at home and find out whether your switchboard's all good or whether it needs work. So the old fuse boards on the left need replacing. That one on the right is a nice modern board, but it's full. So there's no room to install solar in that switchboard. So you can actually see in that particular picture, there's one added on the side. But, yep, thanks Pete. Why install PV now? Well, at the moment, there's a lot of subsidies, as Pete spoke about earlier. So not only is there the Victorian state subsidy and interest-free loan, but there's also the STCs, and all of things do reduce. So this Victorian state subsidy, we're not sure what it will reduce to or what's going to happen, but we know that at the moment it's only extended to the 1st of July.
Yeah.
Also, the
just
STC.
On that, yeah, sorry, Brett, just on that, just to let everyone know, the program's been going for about a year, 2 years, 2 years really. 2 years, year and a half. And it started off at $2,225. And then that shifted down to, I think it was $2,050. So it is reducing. They've introduced the no interest loan, and it will definitely reduce further. I'm thinking it's probably going to be pretty harsh and down to $1,500, but it's probably going to be more like $1,700. And the reason why it's $39 a month with that interest-free loan, like I believe I said before, but I got why solar PV for now. Like I got Dad's solar about 3 or 4 years ago now, and his system cost about, and we'll get to prices in a moment. His system cost about $5,000, so he would have taken both of these loans, or the loan and the rebate, and would have only been $1,300 out of pocket then. So he wasn't able to do that. But he was able to have a higher feed-in tariff, so he's been able to pay off that system and is paying about $10 a month for electricity. STCs are the federal government subsidy or small-scale technology certificates, which Brett was just mentioning, but I may as well just keep talking. So they reduced by 6.5% year on year until 2030, I believe. So that's every year those small-scale technology certificates reduce, which is about a couple of $100 from the federal government reduction. So fortunately, we began this program last year, but Brett's been kind enough to carry over the costs of that into this year. Again, another reason why we selected Brett and Rockies is because of their understanding that this is a community program for the community. And of course, electricity prices don't seem to be going down. So start saving money now is the main reason with getting solar, beyond obviously the environmental benefits and the future proofing of your home in terms of being able to share that electricity with people who you may want to. All this sort of technology is only doable if you have solar. What I mean by sharing power, it's very much like an Uber model. Peer-to-peer trading can be happening and will probably be happening in the next couple of years. If you had solar on your roof, it's a lot easier to charge your electric vehicle if you're thinking about getting that in the future. But also just the operational costs of your home, of running your dishwasher, your clothes washer during the day when your solar's generating your own power. All these little things add up.
Now, Pete, just very quickly, there was a question in regard, you've talked about the rebates being for residential customers. There was a question on the chat room coming in about small business and sporting clubs and whether those rebates are applicable to those as well.
Yeah, those. So funny that I'm glad that question came up because Darren and I were just talking about it before.
Indeed, so.
They are opening up grants to small business. The amount, I'm not 100% sure. It's probably going to be about the same. The eligibility for that, I don't know yet. That's all coming down the pipeline, probably the next couple of months. One of the benefits of us being the B.R.A.G Foundation, I get to talk to Solar Victoria openly, and they're usually quite willing and giving. But I haven't had that conversation yet, so I'll give them a call next week and I'll know more. And that's another thing I was going to say, Darren. We've just fostered a new partnership with City Power, one of the grid operators, and we'll be working with them to put in larger shipping container size batteries, solar batteries, which is pretty cool, definitely. So we're looking for areas in the grid that there is complete voltage issues, and we'll be able to put in a battery that will save you heaps of money, the resident, because instead of putting it back onto the grid, you can store it in that battery and then reuse it. That's the theory, and that's how it would work.
Anyway, we'll
move on.
We might move on with just to let people know, just to confirm that question that we had earlier. This is currently the Solar Victoria rebates are for residential customers, but there is some conversation that it might be available for small business. We can't confirm that this time. It's currently not available for community groups at this stage either. But again, watch this space. Yeah. I know there's some other questions on the chat. We might wait till the end of the program to bring to you those. Sorry, Peter.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say the other option for business for solar, environmental upgrade agreements. Now you'd have to check with your council, but I'm pretty sure Bunyip does. If you're a small business, you can basically get solar onto your roof, but pay it off through your council rates. It's called an environmental upgrade agreement. If you're interested, shoot me an email and I'll provide you more info on that.
Good idea.
So these are Brett's. Yeah, go ahead, Brett. I'm just conscious of time, but I think we're looking pretty good. So feel free to talk about the product.
Yeah, no worries. We offer a range of products, which we'll go through most of them now, but the Phono Solar panel here is a product that we recommend. We've sort of used quite a few panels over the last 15, 16 years, and we've come to decide that Phono Solar is a really good value for money panel. They give really good warranties, actually 20-year product warranty on residential. They're all CEC approved and tier 1 manufacturer, and they come in a size range, 370 watt to 450 watts, so we can make the most use of your available roof space. They're Australian backed warranties, so you don't have to worry about dealing with international suppliers. And in our opinion, just a very good panel. These are the different ways you can mount. So the panels don't necessarily just screw straight to the roof. Tilt frames are very common, even on roofs that aren't flat. As you can see in the pictures there, the panels there are tilted up just to get you more winter production in that situation. And on the right, there's a flat roof there, and the panels are mounted off square with the roof to try and get the correct orientation. And these ones are just, standard mounts. These are ground mount systems, more and more common. And this is a SunGrow inverter. So this inverter, again, is at the moment, it's our #1 supplier in finance products. So the company is backed by banks pretty much. So when banks and that finance projects, they want to make sure that the inverter is good quality and coming from a company that's going to be around for a long time. SunGrow has been around for over 20 years and have extremely high efficiency inverters, good local warranties, and great monitoring. So we recommend them again. Microinverters, Enphase. So this is sort of a little bit of a different situation. This is, instead of having one inverter mounted on your wall, you have one inverter mounted on the back of every panel. There's quite a few benefits. Usually, most situations, if you don't have any shading or any roof issues, there's not a lot of need to go to microinverters. But when there is shading issues or issues with roof faces and design, then the microinverters do open that up. So they all have their purpose. Fronius, one of the most well-known inverters in the industry. Usually this is the one that everybody seems to know the name of. Really good quality inverter, built in Austria, 5 and 5 year warranty, and really top of the range. We offer this as a premium offering. So All right, so these are the pricing. So again, this is excluding the rebate. So it's a GST inclusive price, but does not include the Solar Victoria rebates.
It does include the federal rebates, though.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
So there's 3 different sizes, 3 different options there: SunGrow, Fronius, and Enphase.
And all these prices are on the website, energizegippslandsolarprogram.com.au. Yeah, we're on a very and obviously, if you need a 2 kilowatt system size or even greater, you can obviously do that. But these are just our price portfolio, I suppose you could call it. And the next slide here, these are with the rebates and the loan included. So this is what you would be just money down. Money down. So $800 for the 3 kilowatt SunGrow system for money down, which for solar, I mean, it's amazingly low to see these prices compared with. In 2008, I knew of a school, Yarra, I think it was Yarra High School, put in a 5 kilowatt system. And that system 12 years ago cost $55,000. So it's been a huge drop in the price of solar over the past 10 years. Huge. It is really quite amazing. So,
while you're at it there, Peter, I'm sorry to interrupt you. It should also be emphasised that these are wonderful prices, but also people need to aware that it may not take out your entire energy bill. So it depends on your solar profile and your energy usage, just how much of the solar, how much energy savings you're going to get. I mean, I could pretty much guarantee that mostly you'd be all right, but I think people are a bit surprised by that. They think if they put solar on their roof that they won't have an energy bill forever. That's absolutely not the case. Yeah. It depends on the profile.
Your energy profile, your profile, your usage. If you have a spa, it's not going to cover that very well. But typically you'll be saving about 30%. 35% off your bill, typically, which is it's a decent carving into that. And that's again, these are not changing any actions at home situations. So yeah, just do consider that. And obviously with these prices, it includes the 20% reduction in price through the negotiations of doing a program like this.
I'm sorry to keep bothering you, and this one's for Brett.
That's right.
There was a question about the average size kilowatt system for an average family house, and I guess that's a difficult question to answer. But Brett, do you have an answer for about what size most people would be looking at?
Yeah, for sure. It is a little bit difficult. One of the biggest things is in town where people have natural gas, and then rural makes a big difference. But for rural places where there's no natural gas, we're finding around about the 6 kilowatt mark to be the most common system. In town where you have natural gas and your usage is a little bit lower, it's usually around the 5 kilowatt mark.
You haven't talked batteries. Are you going to do that, or do you want to give an indicative price as to what a battery might be to include to the system?
Yeah, I can. So batteries, again, they have a range in size and quality. But battery systems, there's actually a battery rebate as well. You can't get both the solar and the battery rebate. But a Tesla Powerwall, which is a big battery for a family with a lot of usage, that battery there would be, after rebates, around about $11,000. So, but there is smaller batteries. We do some for between $4,000 and $5,000 as well. So.
I should emphasise that we used to get a lot of questions from people who go, I'm going to get a 10 kilowatt system and shove it on my roof because then the bigger, the better, and then I can export more stuff to the grid. And I might just emphasise what you said earlier on, Brett, and that is it's not, you're not becoming a power station. If that's your way of making money, you're probably not going to be doing too well. What do you think about that? Should people get the biggest they can possibly get, or what do you think?
No, definitely not. The best thing is obviously to have the system tailored to your needs, or you're buying all this big system. Quite often nowadays, AusNet will restrict your export as well. So throwing a giant system onto export just doesn't work. So.
And generally the case, just to go back to batteries again, generally the case in most systems, a battery is pretty superfluous. We don't see many on residential supplies. Brett, are you doing many residential batteries?
To be honest, with the new battery rebate now, we are.
Okay.
Before the battery rebate, it really wasn't that big. You'd probably find 10% or less. Nowadays, we're probably doing 4 or 5 batteries a week. So
Yeah. And that's just something to remember as well through these programs. You know, all the advice that Brett will give you is honest advice. So if I've had quite a number of quotes come through my desk, and some of the designs have just been just dreadful, or they're oversized for, you know, a single person household. That's what we're here for. So if you have any questions about any quotes, not just from Brett, um, I'm more than happy to take a cursory look over that and provide you, you know, sound advice as to what you should be thinking of and looking at. But yeah, batteries are out of the equation for a lot of people, particularly these days. But that's why, yeah, looking at community batteries, both Darren and myself are for the community. But look, if you are interested in that, Brett will certainly help you choose the right one for your needs. So.
And can I emphasise as well, and just in this context with Rockies, we're really happy with Brad and the way that we work in with Rockies, but we absolutely do tell people to look around. You get other quotes if you want, go and search, but just make sure you're comparing like with like. So people do make changes with panels, so they mightn't be offering T1 panels. There is often a change with warranties and conditions and so on and so on. So just by all means go out and get other quotes. We do recommend that, but just make sure you're comparing like with like.
And just a few other matters when it comes to getting solar or Solar Victoria, because we've probably spent more time on that than anything with these rebates, because they are unique and they're not going to be around forever. But you will need to go to their website to apply. That happens after you get the quote from Rockies and do accept that quote, or any other quote from whomever else. But you'll need to go on the portal to upload some documentation. That's typically, I think it's your driver's license or a passport, a photo of that, as well as your rates notice and your latest notice of assessment. They're the three main ones. And if you need help with that, I've been helping countless people with those as well. So welcome, just give me a call and we can sort that out. And then that's kind of the timeline. Please don't expect solar to be, it's not really an off-the-shelf product, although you can go to IKEA and buy solar off the shelf there. It's not something that just gets put in the next day. Brett and lots of solar companies are still playing catch up from the logjam of not being able to install last year and even 2 weeks ago. So there is that behind us. And afterwards, once it is installed, to get it connected to the grid, it needs to, an independent auditor needs to come by and provide you with a certificate of electrical safety. Those inspections or inspectors are really hard to come by these days, I think, Brett, would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's a bit of a logjam with that. So so do be patient with Brett and the team, and even ourselves. Installs are taking longer than we would like, but that's just the nature of everything at the moment. So yeah, I think that's all. Yeah, that's great. So I might just...
Yeah, no, that's sort of covered off. I've got a few questions here in the chat room. I think most people, this will be recorded so people can chase this up later. Tony's asked, what status does the Clean Energy Council have? Who are they? Peter, do you want to answer that? I could probably say something about that too, but do you want to talk about the Clean Energy Council?
My partner works there. The Clean Energy Council is I believe it's a not-for-profit, Darren. It's been the governing board for clean energy in Australia for quite some time now, and they have an accreditation process of which Brett is a member of. Be careful though, because you can be a member but not accredited. So a lot of solar companies will say they're a member, but they don't have accredited installers to say we're Clean Energy Council approved, but they're not really. Well, they are sort of, but not really. So yeah, look, they're to be a part of that accreditation process and do that. It's just another step to what we add with our expression of interest and how we qualify people for our programs.
So the Clean Energy Council works more in a federal context. It certainly does. It certainly does encourage solar installations. It accredits accountants. It also accredits panels. So panels get accredited. Accredited electricians can't install unaccredited panels, if that makes any sense. So yeah. So
they've done a really good job in tightening up the cowboy industry that was solar for a very long time. There's still a long way to go because with these rebate programs, the government puts pressure on the Clean Energy Council to approve more installers because it's meant to feed more work for people. But again, I mean, that's another reason why these programs still, in my mind, are really important for community. Is there other questions there?
Look, we pretty much answered most of the ones there, but I will flick it over to everybody else. Any other questions coming from the group right now? Peter, I reckon you and Brett have answered most things, but just to emphasise the key points again, I'm going to ask you a question, Peter. Okay. When you are shopping for solar, Peter, what are the things you should look? Just to summarise at the end, what should you be looking out for? What should you be doing?
Yeah, look, definitely, I'd be looking at tier one. It must be tier one product that they're using. The installer must be a Clean Energy Council approved retailer, member, and installer as well. They're the main things in terms of what solar company you should be working with. I would also look at their longevity. A lot of these, not a lot, but there's enough solar companies, what we know in the industry is having phoenixed, meaning that they folded because of their cash flow issues or whatever. Cash flow issues and rebates coming back into the system from government. So they come back and rename themselves, but they're the same shifty company. So be wary of those things. That's the main things that I would look for. I'd also look at, like, for example, I'm lucky enough to going through a renovation soon, about a month. So I'll be getting solar eventually. I don't have much space out the front. So I'm probably not going to go with a Fronius inverter or what was it, Sungrow. I'm probably going to go with the micro inverter option because I won't need that big inverter out the front of the house near the switchboard. So they're the main things I would be paying attention to, Darren.
I'm going to ask you the same thing, Brett. If you were a residential supplier and you were installing on your roof, what are some of the questions I'd ask, or what are the things that are important to you?
I think Pete was pretty well spot on there, but one of the main things that we also look for is the longevity in the industry, which he sort of covered on as well. But there's a lot of companies out there that come and go, and you got to look for one that's been around for a long time and make sure they have Australian representation. One of the biggest things with some companies is they're imported by people. There's no actual Australian office for that company, and warranties and other issues can be hard to deal with in that situation.
There was a question from Helen in regard to older systems, so 2009, 2010. If you were lucky enough to get one of those dimes when they were offering it at 66 cents a rebate, and you've got them on your roof, the solar rebates don't work for them currently, Pete. Is that right, or what's the story?
Darren.
I know.
I knew this a month ago.
Yeah.
I believe you can add to that system.
You can add a battery, can't you? Because you've never put a battery on.
Yeah, you could definitely 100% add a battery. That's brilliant.
And you can add, because I did this. You can add a hot water system, can't you?
Yes, you can add a hot water system, but I think you can still claim the solar PV, but it has to be an entirely different system. You can't integrate the two systems together.
The problem you're going to have with the old installs is that once you change the system, all bets are off. So if you're on 66 cents, you'll go back to it's not guaranteed, but Brett might be able to tell me better here. But I think you go back to 10 cents, don't you, mate?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you'll go back to the current fit, which is 10 cents. So, yep.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's very unlikely that system installed in 2009 and 2010 will be up to code anymore. The codes have really become a lot more robust and stringent and comprehensive as the Clean Energy Council has grown and given more responsibility by government bodies. So, yeah, I'd be leaving that until it stops working.
Until you can't use your kettle, then keep it.
Yeah.
Blair, good on you, Blair. When do you see electric vehicles and V2G?
It's a grid.
Yeah. Electric vehicles are really interesting. If you look at details coming out of the Victorian government, they're expecting a real usage spike in electricity in, I think, 2023 or 26 now maybe, when electric vehicles are going to come on the market. Everybody's really bullish on electric vehicles. and certainly using them as a battery could well be a case. I think the Nissan Leaf and some of those. Hey, Brett, what have you got to say about electric vehicles?
Yeah, well, to be honest, it's pretty exciting. There's quite a few chargers getting installed around our way, actually. So there's a few people as well that are looking to incorporate them into their houses already. So I think it's going to be very big out here and very good. So
Yeah.
In fact, didn't they yesterday announce a new solar car? Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but everyone was excited yesterday at the meeting I was at. So they're still out of my price range, so I'm not that interested. But
yeah, they look at GM, one of the largest car manufacturers in the world, and particularly cars that guzzle a lot of petrol, and one of the biggest in the States, has announced that they're going full electric, I think by 2030 or 2035 or something crazy ridiculous like that, which was a huge announcement, massive announcement. And one of the good things about the car to home system, and that's kind of it was a really good question from Blair. I think it was just said, so if car batteries are usually 24 kilowatts capacity, the battery, or 48 kilowatts capacity. Now, your home battery is going to be about 10 kilowatts, roughly, depending on the size of your solar system. So for mine, I'm going to wait till I can get an electric vehicle to use that as my battery storage for later in the evening. Sorry, Brett, you probably don't want me to say that.
No, I'm doing the same, mate. I'm doing the same. I'm going to wait till I get an electric vehicle and use the electric vehicle as my home battery.
Yeah. And Blair, again, with getting a larger solar system to future-proof that, I mean, it's not a bad idea. You're just going to be extending out your payment on the solar system, in theory, and you may not be able to get an electric car for some time.
And Blair's actually said, good point, Blair. It's cheaper to get a Nissan Leaf than it is to get a Tesla or something, he said.
Yeah. It's true. Tesla is this is just an opinion, very similar to Apple in that it functions just the same way as a Samsung, even though I have an Apple phone.
Oh, how dare you say that? How dare you say that? How dare you say that?
It's all marketing.
Apples are better. Anyway. We're getting off track here. There are, Brett and Blair, you've hit the nail on the head again. There are exciting times ahead. Look, the market, somebody said before, should you get a big system to future-proof? I think we're suggesting that's not necessarily a good idea. My clear advice, and I hope, Pete, you might say the same, you get a system which suits your needs. Don't think that you'll get a massive system and you're somehow going to... You can, if you get a proper system, you can add to it. I know, Pete, you said micro inverters. That's a way you can add to it easily, I think, can't you, with that?
It is easier. The other thing with that to take into consideration, Blair, is the feed-in tariff is so small at the moment. A lot of states have done away with that feed-in tariff. And depending on where you live, the grid operators are exporting you to a limited amount of that export anyway, or zero. So with future-proofing, if they still had those feed-in tariffs at a decent rate and they weren't limiting you, then I probably would suggest going as high as you want if you're worth future-proofing. But because they're scaling that back, I'm just a bit cautious of suggesting.
And look, another point that's been made in the chat room, the panels themselves are improving out of sight in terms of their efficiency ratings. I know, at the time I got 150 watt panels on my roof and I thought they were fantastic. Wow. Brett was telling us before, what are yours? 450s, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, when we started, I think when I first installed panels, they were 160 and 170 watts. And we've got the exact same physical size panel nowadays is doing 370. So
wow.
Yeah. So, you could go, I'm in a future proof. I'm going to put 10 panels at 450. And then, 2 years down the track, somebody comes up with a 1,000-watt panel of the same size. So, you can almost outthink yourself. The point I will make, though, the other thing you can do is to be too smart. Like, you can go, I'm going to wait. I can guarantee you there'll be better deals, and not better deals, but I can guarantee you there'll be better panels. But rebates are on the way down. STCs are on the way down. People are putting PV on their roof, so there's more and more take up. Government feel less and less of an incentive to encourage people to do it. It makes so much sense. Governments are saying, why the hell are we rebating people when it makes so much sense anyway?
Yeah. And I think I'll pass it back on to Helen or John, Darren. If that's all right.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm over talking too much. Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. But I would encourage everyone, like I said before, check out the Compare Energy website to get that $250 if you're eligible. That's probably your first point of call. If you're interested in getting a solar quote, just head to that website, Energize Gippsland Solar Program.com.au. I know it's a long one, but that's all right. It's all I can create. And then, energy assessments, give Darren a call about that.
Yep.
And just, all the information is on the website. We're happy to help where we can.
And look, just the last thing from me, this will be recorded and will be put up. Now, it's not entirely recorded because some fool, i.e. me, forgot to do that at the start. But luckily, I've got Helen and she gave me a nudge and said, Darren, have you recording this? So the best bits have been recorded, and I'll pass on to Helen how you can access those and see yourself in online.
And we're doing more of these types of information sessions. The next one is with Wellington Shire. I can't remember the date. It's on the website.
Get on the Facebook page. Get on the Energize Gippsland or Gippsland Climate Change Facebook page. We'll let you know.
Yeah.
John or Helen, do you want to say a few words and thank us all? Goodbye.
Can I just say something?
Yes, you may.
Yeah, I had one question which wasn't answered, I don't think, about how many households, small businesses, sporting clubs would be needed to make a bulk buy work.
Yes, so Helen, historically, community groups would run bulk buys and they'd buy like 300 panels. So what I do effectively, I kind of reverse engineer this. So I negotiate that bulk buy rate with the installers before we run these programs, which is where we get that 20% reduction in the standard rates that Rockies has offered us, which is awesome. So it's open to everybody, whenever, all the time. It's working right now. The program is in place, so you don't need X number of participants. But in terms of the Bunyip Renewable Action Group and having an additional discount on top of that, that's something that I've kind of nudged Brett about a few times. But he'll have to. For him, it's more about if there's five houses that want to get it, he goes there at all in the same week. So it he's cut the cost for him going out, once every 5 weeks to 5 different houses. So that's where I think he'll be able to provide some incentive for the B.R.A.G team.
So it doesn't you don't have to have 100 people sign up to make a bulk buy work. It can be over a period of 6 months or so.
Well, this program will be running for 12 months, this current program.
People come on board.
So you don't need to worry. Yeah, 12 months is the time frame, but we serve everybody all the time. But yeah, for anybody who wants to participate in this, the program's up and running for 12 months, and yeah.
So we can let our community know that.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, I just spoke to someone today, about hot water system. They got solar installed from the program we ran in 2019. Pass them on to Earthworker. So we've got that ongoing relationship with participants, which is great.
Yeah, I was thinking more of the solar panels than anything else.
For example.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you.
Well, is it time for the thank yous and the closure, Helen? I think
unless anyone else has got any queries or questions.
Any last questions?
No, I think we're right, John. I think we're up to thank yous and goodbyes. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
can I just say one more thing? The participants today will be emailed the recording, Darren?
The link to where they can access it, yes.
Yeah, okay. And can we then pass on that link to the community in general? Like
Absolutely.
Put it on our Facebook page?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Good. Well, firstly, I'd like to thank our ringmaster, Darren. He's certainly livened up this show. So thanks very much for that, Darren. You did a great job. And to Peter and Brett, really a lot of very useful information there, the means of saving money and getting the right system. So thank you very much. And we've established connections. You gave plenty of references. So that is really good. And the last thank you is to Helen, who did a magnificent job putting all this together. working closely with Helen, I can see how much work she does. So thank you, Helen, and thanks everybody for participating. It's a small but very elite group of people who listen to our webinar. So thanks for coming.
Thank you, John. Hey, do you want to see the video? Do you want to see the video, Helen?
Yes.
Yeah.
What video?
Yes.
What video? What video? All right. Stick around.
We have a short.
Yeah.
We have a short video produced by one of our members' grandsons. So
Yeah, cool.
here we go.
Dan? Dan?
Self, Andrew.
Climate change. Now to a dire warning about climate change.
Pretty impressive. Well, good-o. We'll say goodbye, John. We'll wave goodbye.
Thanks, everybody. Have a lovely
Thanks,
evening.
everyone. Have a great day. See you later. Stay safe.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.